First story. The Pines. Last fall, I went with 3 friends to a cabin in the woods. It was deep in upstate New York, a few miles past the last gas station, and surrounded by nothing but trees. The cabin belonged to my friend Evan's grandfather, who had recently passed away. None of us had ever been there before, but Evan thought it would be a great place to spend a weekend. No cell service, no internet, no distractions. Just 4 guys catching up and drinking in the woods. We all needed it. College had ended, and real life was starting to pull us apart. It felt like the last time we'd all be able to hang out like this. The drive was fine. Long, quiet, but uneventful. We got there around 4 p.m. The sun was starting to drop behind the trees, and the temperature was already cold enough that we could see our breath. The cabin was weird, not just old. Something about it felt like it didn't belong there, like the trees around it had grown up trying to hide it. It sat on short stilts, maybe a foot or 2 off the ground, and there were gaps between the floorboards you could feel with your feet when you walked. The porch sagged, and the wood was soft. The door had 3 locks on it, all old, all rusty. Inside, everything was coated in dust. The furniture was mismatched and from different decades. Some of it looked handmade. There were heavy curtains on all the windows, and weirdly, across above every door, there was a fireplace, which was good because there was no heating. No TV, no Wi-Fi, 1 bathroom, no shower, just a big old clawfoot tub and a stack of yellowing towels. But we were all in decent spirits. The fridge worked, so we threw in the beers, set up sleeping bags, and started a fire. By 10 p.m., it was pitch black outside. I mean completely black. We couldn't see past the porch. The forest was just a wall of darkness. No moon, no stars. It was quiet, too. Not peaceful quiet, just silent. No crickets, no wind, not even leaves rustling. We joked about it, but everyone noticed it. Something about the silence made you want to whisper. That night, after a few hours of playing cards and drinking, we crashed. I took the floor near the fireplace. Evan and Dave took the couch and the recliner. Matt went up into the loft. Sometime around 2 a.m., I woke up. No sound. Just that feeling. You know when something's not right. I sat up slowly and listened. The fire had died down, and the only light was a red glow of the embers. That's when I heard it. 3 slow knocks. It came from underneath the cabin, directly beneath me. I froze. I wasn't sure if I was dreaming. I waited. About 30 seconds later, I heard it again. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. I could feel them through the floor. I looked over. Evan was still asleep. Dave shifted in his sleep and muttered something, but didn't wake up. I whispered Matt's name toward the loft, but he didn't answer. I just sat there, heart pounding, staring at the floor. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. In the morning, I told them what I heard. No one believed me. They thought I was messing with them, or maybe I was dreaming. I let it go. I didn't want to be the buzzkill. We went for a short hike, and Evan showed us an old shed a few hundred feet from the cabin. It was locked with a rusted chain. Looked like it hadn't been opened in decades. He said his grandfather used to store hunting gear there, but we didn't push to go in. That afternoon, we found something weird. Behind the cabin, there were markings carved into the trees. Symbols, almost like runes. Circles, crosses, little jagged lines. At first, we thought it was just someone messing around, but they were deep, cut way too far into the bark, like someone had used a chisel. And they weren't random. They were spaced out evenly. Too evenly. We didn't talk much after that. Everyone was thinking the same thing, but no one wanted to say it. That night, the knocking came back. This time, we all heard it. 3 knocks. Same rhythm. From beneath the floor. Then silence. Then, about 10 minutes later, 3 more knocks. We all just sat in the living room, staring at the floor. Matt tried to laugh it off, but his voice cracked. Evan grabbed a flashlight and went outside, circled the cabin, and looked underneath. Nothing. He came back in, pale, and locked the door behind him. He didn't say anything, just locked the door and double-checked all the windows. We didn't sleep much. Around 4 a.m., I thought I heard someone walking in the loft. Matt was up there, but the footsteps were too heavy. I looked up and whispered his name. No answer. Then I saw his sleeping bag. Empty. I called out louder. Everyone jumped up. We ran up the stairs. He wasn't there. We ran outside with the flashlights, calling for him. The forest swallowed our voices. No response. We searched for hours. Nothing. Then, just before dawn, he came stumbling out of the woods. Shirt torn, barefoot, bleeding from his arm. He didn't remember leaving the loft. He said he dreamed someone was whispering to him through the floor. Said he felt like he was being pulled out of the bed. We cleaned him up and packed immediately. None of us argued. We just threw everything into the car and left. On the way back, Evan got a call. It was from a neighbor of his grandfather's, a guy named Walter. He said he had just heard we were staying at the cabin and wanted to warn us. Said there were reasons his grandfather stopped living there 10 years ago. Said strange things happened there at night. Things he wouldn't talk about on the phone. We never went back. Evan sold the property a few months later. Didn't even go up there to sign the papers. Sometimes I still dream about those knocks. 3 slow, steady thumps from underneath the floor, like something waiting. Every time, I wake up before it knocks again. But I always wonder, what would have happened if I knocked back? The end. First story, please subscribe channel. Second story, The Whispering Cabin. I was invited to a cabin in the woods by a friend named Mark. He had recently inherited it from his uncle who passed away under mysterious circumstances. It was supposed to be a quiet weekend. Just me, Mark, Lisa, and Kevin. No self-service. No neighbors. Just nature. When we arrived, the cabin looked normal from the outside, but the forest around it felt off. Too quiet. No birds. No wind. Just silence. That night, we made a fire, cooked dinner, and talked. Everything was fine. Until around 3 a.m. I woke up to a sound, soft whispering outside my window. It wasn't the wind. It was voices. I stayed still, listening. I couldn't make out the words, but it was definitely whispering. After about a minute, it stopped. The next morning, I asked if anyone else heard anything. Lisa froze. She said she heard whispering too, near her window. Mark said it was probably just the wind. But Kevin said he felt someone watching him from the woods. We all laughed it off, but something wasn't right. That afternoon, we went exploring behind the cabin. About a mile into the woods, we found an old shed. It looked abandoned, with rotting door barely hanging. Inside, there were strange symbols carved into the walls. Bones scattered on the floor. Candle wax. Burn marks. Lisa said we needed to leave. We agreed, but it was already too late. That night, the power went out. Our phone stopped working. The fireplace died on its own. Then, the whispering came back. Louder. Closer. It wasn't outside this time. It was inside. We gathered in the living room, scared. Suddenly, the door upstairs slammed shut, but none of us were upstairs. Kevin grabbed a flashlight and went to check. He never came back. We waited, called his name. No answer. We went upstairs. Kevin's flashlight was lying in the hallway, still on, but he was gone. No windows were open. No signs of a struggle. Just gone. We ran outside, but the woods were covered in thick fog. No sound. No movement. Just whispers. Whispers coming from all directions. We got in the car. Mark tried to start it. Nothing. Then, just for a second, the fog cleared. Standing at the edge of the woods was someone. Not Kevin. It looked like a man, but too tall, arms too long, head tilted, like it was listening. Then, it stepped back into the trees. The car finally started. We didn't stop driving until we reached the town with signal. We called the police. A search party went out. They never found Kevin. Mark sold the cabin. No one's lived there since. Sometimes, when I'm alone at night, I still hear whispers. And I know whatever was in that cabin. It followed me home. The end. Second story. Frayed story. The cabin in the woods. It was the summer of 2019 when my friends and I decided to take a break from our hectic lives and spend a weekend in a remote cabin nestled deep within the Appalachian Mountains. The cabin belonged to my friend Jake's uncle, who assured us it was a perfect getaway spot, secluded, serene, and surrounded by nature. We arrived late Friday afternoon. The drive up the winding mountain roads was treacherous, but the view was breathtaking. The cabin itself was rustic but cozy, with a stone fireplace, wooden beams, and a wraparound porch that offered panoramic views of the dense forest. That first night, we sat around the fire pit, sharing stories and roasting marshmallows. The stars were brilliant, and the only sounds were the chirping of crickets and the occasional hoot of an owl. It was idyllic. Around midnight, we decided to turn in. The cabin had 3 bedrooms, so we paired off, Jake and his girlfriend in one room, my friend Lisa and her boyfriend in another, and I took the smallest room alone. I awoke around 3 a.m. to a faint tapping sound. At first, I thought it was a branch hitting a window, but the pattern was too deliberate. 3 taps, a pause, then 3 more. I got up and looked outside but saw nothing. Shrugging it off, I went back to bed. The next morning, I mentioned the tapping to the group, but no one else had heard anything. We spent the day hiking and exploring the area. Jake's uncle had left us a map of nearby trails, and we decided to check out a waterfall a couple of miles away. As we trekked through the woods, we stumbled upon an old, dilapidated cabin. It looked abandoned, with broken windows and a collapsed roof. Curious, we approached it, carved into the wooden door with the words, "Stay away." Lisa suggested we leave, but Jake, ever the adventurer, wanted to look inside. The floorboards creaked under our weight, and the air was thick with dust and decay. In the corner of the main room was a rocking chair, gently swaying back and forth, though there was no breeze. Uneasy, we left the cabin and returned to our own. That night, the tapping returned, this time louder and more insistent. I got up and checked the window again. Still nothing. But as I turned to go back to bed, I noticed muddy footprints on the floor leading from the window to the door. I woke everyone up, and we searched the cabin, but found no one. The doors were locked, and all the windows were closed. We were spooked but tried to rationalize it. Maybe someone was playing a prank. The next day, we decided to cut our trip short. As we packed up, Jake realized his car keys were missing. We searched everywhere but couldn't find them. With no cell service and no way to leave, we were stuck. That night, the atmosphere was tense. We barricaded the doors and windows and took turns keeping watch. Around 2 a.m., Lisa, who was on watch, screamed. We all rushed to the living room to find the front door wide open and Lisa pointing outside. Standing at the edge of the woods was a figure, tall, gaunt, and motionless. We couldn't make out any features, but its presence was menacing. Suddenly, it turned and disappeared into the trees. We didn't sleep the rest of the night. At first light, we decided to hike down the mountain to get help. As we left the cabin, we found Jake's car keys hanging from a tree branch right at the edge of the forest. We didn't question it. We grabbed the keys, piled into the car, and drove away as fast as we could. To this day, none of us can explain what happened. We've all agreed never to return to that cabin, or speak of it again. The end story.